Now I'm going to read from page 108 from the book Metu Volume 2, Anuk Asaur, which is I Am Asaur, the Kemetic Initiation System. The whole initiation system goal was basically to raise up God within you. Because a lot of us are walking around not with our full God-like qualities. We still live very animalistic in the way that we treat one another, the way we talk to one another. That's why you have a lot of wars. That's why you have a lot of violence and things that are going on in the world. But when we are able to get control over our animalistic part of us, we are then able to rise up within the spiritual part of us. So I'm going to read just a short passage from this book. So here we go. The third sphere, Sakar. So basically, Sakar is within the Kemetic tree of life. You have different spheres. So there are 11 total, and this element or aspect of God is what I'm going to be reading about Sakar, which is says here the next three spheres, the third, the second, and the first, correspond to the divine attributes that God shares with man. Sphere 3, Sakar, responds to man's ability to affect his and other people's physiological functions. Now that's powerful. Being able to affect people's physiological functions is something like praying for someone and they being healed, or speaking healing over someone's life. All right, or just bringing in the joy and the happiness and the pleasure that that person needs. Of course, you want to influence someone's physiological functions for good, not for bad. So, and also the ability to affect people's psychological faculties and environment through which the manipulation of words and power. So basically, through words, able to affect people's physiological and psychological faculties. All right, through such things as mantras. All right, so this ability must not be confused with such practices based on the manipulation of the lower psyche, the animal spirit, through roots, herbs, gems, and other animal substances. The full manipulation and powers of Hakau require the individual's full development of the I part of the spirit. So we have a lot of parts. We want to develop not just one part of us, but all parts of us. So we want to develop the I part of our spirit. And I say full manipulation of the Hakaus because minimal effects which are quite wondrous to the uninitiated, can be achieved with little preparation. So going on, the attributes of the divine intelligence of this sphere Sakar reveal the creative genius of the Kemetic mind. So this dimension is basically revealing our creative genius. It presided over death because the initiated had to die to the things of this world, place him or herself beyond the control of earthly things before mastery of words and power can be attained. So some people kind of say, oh, Egyptians, religion, spirituality is obsessed with death. No, what it's actually saying is that we are to die to the things of this world, to the negative aspects, the animalistic ways, which I started with, of our nature. Because we all have a lower animalistic way, kind of like the Sphinx. You have the lower lion part of our body, and then you have the head, which is the priestly, the human head on the Sphinx, is like the priestly spiritual side of us. So we always want to dominate our animalistic side, all right, which is dying to the things of this world and mastering it, words of power. All right, so it makes full sense once we understand the awesome scope of power of the Hakau. They literally give power over life and death. The Supreme Being shares his power with man, all right, but places it beyond his reach until he has become immune to the temptations of the animal and opinions of a lower intellect. So, we're not to be manipulated by the opinions of the lower intellect or animalistic ways, once again. Otherwise, it would be like placing 1,000,000 hydrogen bombs in the hands of 10-year-olds. The Kemetic idea of equating spiritual attainment with death is the source of the born-again concept of Christianity. So, basically, us dying to our, I can say, worldly nature is like the born-again concept within Christianity, right? Because we rise within a newness. All right. So the Den Master, who is still able to lead the Masonic Temple, all right. Unfortunately, Christianity misunderstood this concept in making the life after death the important part of life. Sometimes people just don't see themselves living powerfully as God on earth until they actually die, and unfortunately think they have to succumb to weaknesses of the flesh, which we don't. The Kemetic initiate lived life fully. Dying to the things of this world is the realization that to wield the greatest power in the world, you must master power itself. It manifests itself in the emotional forces that impel and compel behavior. So we gotta master the emotional forces. We can get emotional, angry, upset, want to hurt people, kill people. We gotta master that part of us. All right. So the same teachings can be found in other spiritual societies. For example, the yogis teach that the key to power is the extinguishing of desire. They states that the key to success resides in going through life as if all your desires have been fulfilled, for what is yours cannot be lost. These are poetic statements that must be substantiated with a holistic view. The faculty of the sphere gives insight into the divine plan with which the individual must align his or her life, thus placing personal desires aside, by making one's life coincidental with and subordinate to God's divine plan. So we just don't want to live selfishly for ourselves, but we want to live according to what God wants us to do. One gains access to the awesome power of the Hakaru residing in this faculty. Incidentally, Sakar is the origin of the name of the greatest Egyptian burial complex, Saqqara. This sphere corresponds to the Shechem power part of the spirit. Needs to say it has not been awakened in the majority of people. It must be awakened and cultivated through the initiation. I want us to understand this concept, which is in page 227. Man is not an earthly, but a spiritual being. His physical body is simply the egg in which his spirit, true body, is gestated. Just think of that. When you look at me, think of it, you see an egg. I look at you, so it's an egg, but that's not you. It's just the real you is the spirit within you, which the egg is just, the true body is being gestated within the egg. So, and the egg, releases the true you. All right. So this understanding prepares the initiate for the task of this stage, which is to die to one's person and the world. Once we fully understand our true self and the purpose of existence, this will not seem as forbidden as it sounds. In dying to our persons at this stage, we are giving up the limited capabilities of our persons for the unlimited powers of the self. So the self is the God within us. So we want to give up the limited ways of thinking for the unlimited power, the power of God that's within us. We can deepen our understanding of the process by looking at the matter from a technical perspective. What we refer to as the personality is, as the word says itself, a vehicle through which sound, is made. So that's what persona is.